we begin with breaking news. CNN has exclusively learned that Russia responded to the prisoner swap offer for the release of 2 Americans in Russian prisons. Sources say now that Russia requested a colonel convicted of murder and in German custody be added along with this infamous arms dealer in exchange for former WNBA star Brittany Griner and businessman Paul Whelan.
We have a team of correspondents covering these breaking developments. Fred Pleitgen is in Moscow for us, but let's start with Natasha Bertrand, who is breaking this exclusive. Natasha, what have you learned?
Yeah, Allison, so what we've learned is that in response to the Russian proposal to trade that arms dealer Viktor Bout for the 2 Americans detained in Russia, Paul Whelan and Brittany Griner, the Russians actually put forward their own request. And they said, well, we don't want just Viktor Bout. We also want this guy named Vadim Krasikov, who was convicted in Germany in just last year, about 7 months ago in December of 2021, for murdering in broad daylight a Chechen fighter. And the Germans sentenced him to life in prison. So the Russians, in response to this proposal, submitted this kind of back channel request to the Americans. It was done through an FSB back channel. The FSB, of course, is the main security service for the Russians. And through this back channel, it was very informal. They said that they wanted this person to be included in the swap along with Viktor Bout. Now, the U.S. did not take this request very seriously. It was very problematic for a number of reasons. Chief among them is that this guy, Krasikov, he is still in German custody. So the United States would in fact have to then use its influence to try to get him released from German custody to include him in this prisoner swap. But other than that, it was not viewed by the U.S. to be a serious counter proposal to what the U.S. had said is a very substantive proposal, which is to trade Bout for these 2 Americans. Now, it remains to be seen whether the Russians have put forward or will put forward any other request, but this underscores that the Russians did in fact engage with the U.S.'s proposal. Now, whether or not the Americans view that as substantive, that's another question.
Fred, you're sharing the byline on this exclusive reporting. The U.S. says that it's not a serious proposal. Has it even gone far enough that Germany has responded?
Well, the Germans certainly did at least deal with it to a certain extent. And I think one of the things that shows just how serious the administration right now is about trying to get this prisoner swap to happen, about trying to get Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan out of Russian custody, is that there were quiet inquiries by the U.S. to the German government. We have that from a senior German government source saying this was on a fairly low level, and the Germans also never really believed that it was a real strong proposal or one to be taken seriously. It was merely an inquiry. Would the Germans possibly be willing to consider that? Now, the Germans say that they never really talked about this proposal on a higher level. It never reached the top levels of German government, but certainly they did receive inquiries from the U.S. About Krasikov. However, he is a very, very important prisoner to the Germans. And again, it was something that wasn't broadly discussed in the German government. However, the U.S. did make that inquiry, Victor.
Fred, tell us more about Vadim Krasikov and why he is so important. So he was a colonel, and what else?
Yeah. Well, he was a colonel in the FSB, in the intelligence service of the Russians, and he is obviously the one who the German court convicted of killing that former Chechen fighter in Berlin in broad daylight in 2019. And the reason why this is so important for the Germans is because the court in Germany that dealt with this case clearly stated that this was a murder that was called for by the Russian Federation, that was organized by Russia's state security services and essentially led by Russia's state security service. It was something that caused a huge spat between the Russian government and the German government. Several Russian diplomats were expelled. And one of the other things that's really important also is not only that the Germans said, look, this is a complete breach of German sovereignty, and just for that reason, obviously, Krasikov is a very important prisoner to the Germans, but it also happened right after a change of government in Germany as well. It was when Angela Merkel left office, the conviction was after Angela Merkel left office and the Scholz government came into office. Right after that is when this conviction happened, and the new German government showed that it wanted to be tougher on Russia, immediately expelled Russian diplomats. And so therefore, Krasikov is a very, very important prisoner that the Germans are holding, and certainly there's absolutely no considerations, I'm told right now, in Berlin to release Krasikov.
So, Natasha, U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken spoke with his Russian counterpart today, but this was not the vehicle for that offer. How did the Russians respond and ask for this additional trade?
Correct, Victor. And what we're told is that the Russians communicated this through a back channel. Essentially, FSB officers reached out to the United States through these channels to float the possibility that they would potentially get Krasikov back. They essentially told the United States, look, if you're offering boot, then we want Krasikov. And this was not viewed by the U.S. as a serious proposal because, again, it was not proposed at the Lavrov-Blinken level. It was proposed at lower levels, but it did give the U.S. an idea of the kind of proposal and the kind of swap that Russia might be looking for. And importantly, it also indicated to the United States that Russia might not actually be serious about this swap at all because it was just not viewed as something that the U.S. and Germany would actually be willing to do. It was viewed more by the U.S. government as an attempt to buy time, as an attempt to stall until the trial of Brittany Griner is over, and then the Russians feel that they can come to the table. So all of this was viewed by the United States really as a game that the Russians were playing. They don't view it as serious. But it remains to be seen, of course, whether the Russians are going to ask for another person in addition to boot on a more formal level, because, of course, the U.S. is asking for 2 people of its own back.
Okay, Natasha Bertrand, Fred Pleitgen, thank you very much for all of that breaking news.